In 1947, a cargo ship off the coast of Indonesia put out a distress call with the words, "All officers, including captain, are dead, lying in chart room and bridge. Possibly whole crew dead." Before help could arrive, a second message was radioed in with just two words, "I die." Rescue workers who boarded the ship discovered to their horror that the crew members were indeed deceased, with their bodies contorted and arms outstretched as if fending off an attacker, but without any signs of injury. An engine room fire that caused the ship to be abandoned and eventually sank, taking its ghastly secret and any chance of an autopsy investigation to Davy Jones's locker. Later reports contradicted the supernatural tale, however, with a 1948 news article citing a survivor who blamed the deaths on a leak of its deadly cargo, sulfuric acid. What's more, there is no record of the SS Urang Medan in Lloyd's registry, leading to some to conclude that this ghost story is of pure fabrication. That didn't stop Supermassive Games from when they started their Dark Pictures Anthology of using this ghost story as a basis for their Man of Medan game. It is and was the first in a series of anthology horror games. This was the first, Little Hope being the second, and House of Ashes, which is set to release later this month, to be the third. Now, I loved Until Dawn, and when I heard that the next game from that company, from that studio, is going to be this Dark Pictures Anthology, a series of proposed 8 games, I was over the moon. And to find out that the first game is going to be on a ghost ship, well, let Phobia Month continue. My name is Insane Raven, and this is Tales of the Hunt, a bi-weekly podcast where I go by and I hunt down a game's platinum trophy, giving you a trophy by trophy and analytic approach to the games, with the hopes of telling my own story and something to give you help. Tips and tricks along the way based off memory of the trophy hunt itself. The Dark Pictures Anthology Man of Medan was and is to this date the only horror game I've ever done for Phobia Month, and it's gonna be that way for this month as well. Spoiler alert for Prognophobia and the rest of the hydrophobic series, but it's hard to do hydrophobia without the possibility of even discussing ghost ships. From the mysterious Kraken from Scandinavian lore to the Bermuda Triangle, the sea has always had a sort of supernatural element to it. It's the greatest of unknowns before you even go beneath the waves. So of course, I had to do Man of Medan. Man of Medan is essentially a horror movie that you get to play, and while the cast of Until Dawn was larger, it cuts down by, I believe, 3 cast members from 8 to 5, creating a tighter circus. On the first playthrough, you will experience the claustrophobic nature of the ship, the jump scares of playing the game as it is intended, without knowing anything. At least, in my opinion. It is a unique experience all the way through. And on my first playthrough, I absolutely loved it. But as we see, and as we'll go and talk about, this game does a cardinal sin for horror games. One that I'll discuss greater in detail, and one that I feel makes most horror games, if not all of them, not worth platinuming. The idea of what makes a horror game successful is that it's unexpected, is that you are unprepared. And trophy hunting and platinum hunting specifically requires you to perfect and to know everything, for most cases, about a game. These two things make it entirely difficult. And when the game is so narrative based, like in Medan, starting out with the Karate Master trophy where you're beating up a training dummy to near the end where you're running for your life, it feels boring and repetitive. And by the end of it, you just want to be done. It wears down on you. Not in the fun way of, this is stressful, this is spooky, the I can't believe I'm playing this again way. Medan is much shorter than Until Dawn, and maybe that's part of the problem, that Supermassive Games thought they had to lengthen out their experience. They had to make it justify the $60 price point when it first came out. Maybe not. Who can say? But we're here to talk about trophies, and I'm going to do that right now. We talked about Karate Master briefly, where you have to beat the training dummy. In the prologue that seems, at this point, to be customary for Supermassive Games, you have to nail every single QTE that comes up. Not hard by any imagination, but easy to mess up. That's the thing about Until Dawn. I already called it a bit of a movie that you get to play, but most of the gameplay mechanics of this game involve slowly walking around, hitting QTEs, or purposely not hitting QTEs, making decisions, and playing. And watching your choices play out. Which isn't great from a trophy hunting perspective. Brother thing, unlock Brad's envious traits. What you need to do is go through a bunch of more negative responses as Brad when you're before everyone comes up. What you end up doing with this is engaging with your brother Alex and making sure that Brad seems envious and whiny before you even get the traits. I think this was an extent to try to make it seem more of like a role play and more like this is what canonically would have happened. But to me it felt like it was stifling the choices because they had to do all of these anyway. Again, a pattern that emerges quite quickly throughout this game. Now, I do have to spoil some story stuff in this game, but on one hand, yes. On the other hand, this is a game where your ending, your canon, essentially, is the one you pick. Which means I can spoil everything and it still not be the exact game you played, which I do really enjoy. So this is your spoiler warning from here on out. So let's continue. Yes, I'll marry you. Julia accepts Alex's proposal. What you need to do here is essentially get Alex to be on the good side of Julia. Side with her during specific arguments. Make sure that you guys are tight. And then as Julia, go with your heart and love everything Brad is throwing towards you so that you will accept. By the time you have to get the trophy, you are playing as Julia. So if you've done the work with Alex of like, hey, we're good, we're on the same side, marrying him and accepting a proposal when that time comes up is natural. As long as you're quick, complete 10 QTEs in succession. The training dummy doesn't count. Everything after that does, which, isn't great. If you're selling, I'm buying. Unlocked Conrad's humorous traits. Just take everything very non-seriously and you'll get this trophy. You'll get this trophy before you leave your boat, before you get on the big ship, the big set piece, as it were. Big man on campus. You can get this one by just being aggressive as Alex and being not even so douchey, but just being ready and on the attack, which is something very much that is in his character traits. But it's also something that the game paints as negative. For $1, he told me his secrets. Find 25 secrets. That is for getting, I believe, half of them. I believe there's only 50 secrets in total. But that's for getting half of them. This is a trademark road post sign that you have to be exploring everything. If it looks like that's where you're supposed to be going, go the other way first and explore that out. Going it alone. Completed the solo story. Now, this is my first playthrough done. We're going to count them off as we go, because my god, there were too many of them. After this, I did everything. The next couple of trophies I did on the shared story, where the goal was what we wanted to try to get everyone killed in this story. That was the plan for us to do from the get-go. And that went wrong really quickly with me and my partner, whose name I'm forgetting. But they did get me the pint of frosty amber liquid, which is get Conrad to successfully flirt with Fliss. This is a trophy that you'll be getting anyway, as you do one of the later story trophies that we'll talk about. But this is one that I didn't personally unlock for me. He unlocked, but because we were on a shared story campaign run through, I got the trophy as well, which is really great, and I did not know that. Remember who's signing the checks. Unlocked Julia's spoiled traits. This is another one of those, like, hey, role-playing type things. Try to always get your way with Julia, and this trophy will pop. That then got us the learning to work together trophy, which is finish the shared story. Now, break 'em during the movie. Break 'em during the thunder. Open the window without making noise. So, as that scene begins to go through, you are playing as Conrad, and he proposes this, well, we can get out of this situation if we break the window while the noise of the thunder and lightning is going. As that scene is going, he is counting down the seconds. When he gets to the point where you have to break the window, you have about 6 seconds that he's counting down. It's going to go off. Once you get to 5, that's when you want to push it, because it's going to come through and hit. The great thing, he says in quotations, is that if you mess this up, you can just go back and do chapter select and try again. It is earlier in that chapter, but it's still really annoying to have to do. And I had to do it a lot, so keep that in mind. Like that movie with the ship, finished movie nights. That is now my 3rd playthrough of this game. Consider all the permutations. Choose all the head decisions. Now, what this means is that you have to pick all of the brain decisions when given a choice between the heart and the brain. And when you are given 2 heart choices, you need to go down a middle of the road path, which then makes this my 5th playthrough. A 5th playthrough through a horror game where you're not playing it, you are in fact witnessing a lot of different things in different scenes. Now, I will say that up to this playthrough, there are new stuff being thrown at you constantly. There are new perspectives, new scenes, new angles, and a bunch of really interesting stuff that, yes, it's getting old at this point, especially with some of the more rigid jump scares. It is getting old and tiresome, but there are still new things to explore and still reasons to play it up to this point. That quickly becomes less true as we continue our hunt. So, quite a lot of deaths that night. Found all the black framed pictures. This is one that you need to do a playthrough on shared movie, and normal playthrough, because they have different locations and different places are open to you that makes a single playthrough. This trophy is impossible through a single playthrough. It is, and I wish it wasn't. Which then goes, ghost ships are just a myth, right? Which is finding all the pictures, and possible futures, which is for finding all the white framed pictures. So those 3 trophies are impossible to do on a single playthrough. You need to do at least 3 different playthroughs to get that done. So enjoy this same moray eel jump scare so many times that I fucking hate that moray eel. The original plan for this video, back when this was going to be a video, I'm gonna do this every now and then, was that I was going to do the video on a boat that my friend has, and we were going to record the whole thing, all the live action bits on this boat, and we were going to basically have the moray eel jump scare every like 2 or 3 minutes, essentially, where it was going to be this really annoying, really obstructive thing, because that's what it ended up feeling like by the end of this hunt. It's just this thing where it's like, okay, I know it's coming, I just have to get over it, and oh fuck, it still got me. And that's not fun. This is a game where I had a really good time playing the game 4 times, I'll admit that, and then it kept going. So now we have all of those. Now you got the You Got a Better Way trophy, which is maxing out Conrad and Felicity's relationship. The Lovebirds, which is maxing out Alex and Julia's relationship, which requires a whole nother playthrough. Luckily, on that playthrough, I did a whole Let's Save Everyone playthrough, which requires everyone to be on the best behavior and to be working together and to be doing all that. But then that's now a 6th playthrough if something went wrong earlier. So this is now playthrough 6, which then got me the Secrets, Lies, and Conspiracies, man, because you need all the players, all the characters on the ghost ship when you need everyone to be alive and everyone to be alive substantially throughout the game. But you still can't get this trophy on a single playthrough because the different perspectives change different availabilities for different secrets, which is cool if you're not trying to get everything, and especially if you're not trying to get everything in a 2-week period like I am, because I'm crazy. This became so monotonous to kind of go through on. Then there's the name of this vessel, which is revealing the name of the ship, which you have to do in 2 different parts, and this one kind of became tricky, because there is the hats on the delusion that Fliss has when she's being pushed around by the one more Asian looking guy with the gun, and he starts freaking out. I think his name is Danny. I want to say his name is Danny. But when he's freaking out, you have to pick up a hat that gets tossed away on the ground, pick up the hat, rotate it to get the back half of the name. Then when all of your remaining surviving characters meet up again towards the end of the game and you go through the charts room, there is a logbook. You need to flip to the left instead of to the right like you have to do with every other thing, flipping all the way through there to get the front half of the name. Then, when you get a hold of the radio and you're able to communicate with someone on the outside world again, you need to say the name. Those 3 things are going to get you this trophy. Nothing else besides those 3 things are going to get you the name of this vessel trophy. Which, on one hand, really cool. On the other hand, kind of frustrating. Because at this point, I was playing the game with a guide, because I'd already played the game 5 different times, and it was just like, okay, I guess I'll just walk through with a fine-tooth comb and guide to figure out everything. And that's the best way I support doing the everyone. That's something I suppose. The Everybody Survived and the Secrets, Lies, Conspiracies, and the name of this vessel. That's how I recommend doing those 3 trophies, because they're just awful. Um, that's something I suppose everyone survived. Medium Bro maxed out Brad and Alex's relationship. Like I said, all the things that you need to get do. Anyway, it's all gone changing on me. This is a trophy that is frustrating. Because it requires you to pass really strict QTEs. It requires you to take the air breathalyzer, air breather, air pack thing. I'm using the wrong word. All the way through. It requires you to then choose the right communication options so that no one gets hurt when you're talking to Junior and he's freaking out about the mist. You need all of that to work out so you can get this trophy. It took me many tries. Not like it was very annoying. Can't catch him on this old junker. Conrad successfully escaped on the speedboat. This is another one that requires a lot of QTEs, which can get really frustrating. You have to pass every single QTE when Conrad is running for the speedboat to successfully pick up the trophy. It is one of the last trophies I got, so it took me a while to pick it up, but that's just what you have to do. And it cuts you off of a lot of content. And I wouldn't even say so much as the big advertised horror of this game. It just completely cuts it out, which is really frustrating from a trophy hunting perspective. Go with your guts. Choose all of the hot decisions, which again, that's a 6th playthrough now. I, Captain, unlocked Felicity's arrogant traits. Not a sole survivor. No one survived. Just kill everyone as quickly as you can, which you will get if you go with all hot decisions. So the 6th survivor. Girls' Night Out. Only the women survived. That's the 7th playthrough. And Right There With Ya Boys. Only the men survived. That is an 8 playthrough trophy hunts for this game. No. Guys, no. I love horror. I feel like a good horror game is the best form of entertainment because entertainment is supposed to make you feel something. And when horror is done right, it makes you feel things. And I could not change that. I love horror. But making you play the same game so many times on repeat is awful. I don't know who decided that this was the way they needed to go with this trophy list, but it's awful. Like, I wanted to hop right in to Little Hope when I finished this list, and I couldn't. I was like, the idea of having to play that game possibly 5 times, if it's just everyone survived, no one survived, boys survive, girls survive, hothead, that's 6 playthroughs. And that's if I do everything perfectly. That sounds awful. And that is the only reason why I haven't hunted that one down yet as of recording this. And it's awful. It's just an awful prospect, honestly. Like I said, I think this is a great game to play through and experience once. I would not wish anyone to platinum this on their own accord, because I don't think the platinum is worth it in this case. Like, and that's a shame, because Until Dawn had none of those problems. Until Dawn, it was like, hey, everyone survived, no one survived. Boys, girls, and it was quick. Like, you got to choose how everything kind of played out, and you got to pick up everything, and it was interesting. And I wish they would have taken those lessons they learned from that game and brought them over here. The point and click style gameplay I do love. I love the fact that this genre and this game exists. But from a trophy hunting perspective, no. I hope that by the time House of Ashes and I get to play with Ashley Tisdale has actually cleared out, it'll be great, and I'll love every minute of that hunt. I'm hoping that's the case, because I love what the Dark Pictures Anthology could be, and I want them to continue being that. So here, I'm just hoping, guys. I'm hoping that it gets better. And if you want a really good spooky thing to play, this is a really good spooky thing to play. If you want a horror game for your platinum list, please skip it. Just skip it. There are more scary, horrifying things you could play. But that is going to be it for this episode of the Tales of the Hunt podcast. Let me know what you guys thought in the comment section down below. And I do want to talk about one thing really quickly. I love how Supermassive Games always chooses really interesting settings. Like, they had a cabin in Until Dawn, a ghost ship here, the town of Little Hope, what seems to be the Afghani desert in House of Ashes. You know, these are really interesting choices, and I love the fact that there's a studio out there making weird choices with their games, and I love them for that. And I don't want you to think that it's a bad game, because it's not. It's a terrible trophy list, and that's what I review. So, with all that said, I will see you guys next time, hopefully with a better list and a better maritime horror show for our hydrophobic among us. Until next time.